Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, host of the Four Boxes Diner, proud American gun owner, constitutional attorney, member of the U.S. Supreme Court Bar, and I'm here to give you breaking news out of Florida. The federal district court judge down there, Aileen Cannon, has dismissed the indictments against Donald Trump brought by the anti-Trump special prosecutor Jack Smith. Why? For the reasons we've talked about on this channel repeatedly, the appointment by milquetoast moderate, that's a joke by the way, milquetoast moderate Merrick Garland of Jack Smith was unconstitutional because Jack Smith is functioning as an officer of the United States. He's functioning as an officer of the executive branch, but he did not go through the process whereby you can have that authority, i.e., he was not nominated for the position by the President of the United States, and he was not confirmed for the position by the United States Senate, unlike every United States attorney and the Attorney General himself, Merrick Garland. You have to be nominated by the President and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Jack Smith did not go through that process. He was picked to go after Donald Trump by the Attorney General of the United States, Merrick Garland. And today, as we talked about in several videos over the last 6 months or so, Jack Smith's indictments of Donald Trump have been dismissed because Jack Smith was acting without legal authority, and thus all of his actions are viewed as ultra vires, which means he was acting as if he had authority, but he never had it. Aileen Cannon, the judge in Florida, said that under the Constitution itself, the Appointments Clause, the only way Jack Smith could do what he did was if he was appointed by the President, confirmed by the U.S. Senate, would be one approach. Or if Congress had specifically enacted legislation, which there used to be an independent counsel statute on the books, but that expired many years ago. That's no longer on the books. She said those are the only two ways that Jack Smith can have the authority to do what he's doing as an officer of the United States when he did not either have statutory authority or he did not go through the proper means of, again, presidential appointment and Senate confirmation. She goes on to point out that this indictment against Donald Trump is hereby dismissed. I'm sure Jack Smith will take an appeal, but the reality is that by the time this appeal plays out, the election will be over. And if we don't know if this is going to happen, but if President Trump becomes the president again, then his Department of Justice would have the authority to drop the appeal and or dismiss the case against Donald Trump as meritless, and or the work of Jack Smith should be gotten rid of because, again, it was ultra vires and agree with the decision of Judge Cannon today in Florida. This is a major win for President Trump. It was not unexpected. We talked a lot on this channel about this particular case and this theory. You probably also saw me on Fox News articulating these same views, and I'm happy to report that a major win for President Trump in Florida. That case is simply absurd for a whole bunch of reasons, in addition to the fact that Jack Smith lacks authority to run around as if he's the Attorney General of the United States without supervision. And I'm glad to see a federal judge realize this, saw through this, and ruled in favor of President Trump. This is not only a win for President Trump, obviously, it's also a win for the constitutional structure of government, where Congress is supposed to make the laws, the president is supposed to execute on the laws given to him by Congress, and the courts are to interpret the laws. Here you have a federal judge interpreting the Constitution, pointing out that the appointment of Jack Smith illegally was a violation of the separation of powers. It was a violation of our structural Constitution, and it violated the Constitution itself. All are appropriate, because remember, even if you support the right to keep and bear arms in the Second Amendment, which of course I do, those rights and those liberties are not just protected by virtue of guns and gun ownership. The entire constitutional structure, including the separation of powers, also contributes in major ways to protecting our freedom and our rights. Remember, the right to keep and bear arms is a means to an end of protecting our human freedoms, our human rights, and our lives. And the separation of powers that Judge Cannon, I should say, talked about in this case speaks to that very issue. We want government to fight amongst themselves so they don't tyrannize Americans. That's how the founders set it up. And I'm happy to report that Judge Cannon basically concluded the exact same thing as she should have in this case, finding that Jack Smith, who was brought over from Europe to go after Donald Trump, lacks authority to do all the work he's been doing for the last year or so. All right, folks, a lot more breaking news coming out this week. We'll talk a lot about it. And don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you follow me on X at Four Boxes Diner. And we'll talk to you again soon here at the Four Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.